So now let's go ahead and go up to the hat, and let's see if we can play around with that a little bit. And Jeremy, maybe you can tell me whether I'm too close. Am I okay? Okay, and I'm going to take my dark one. I don't want to be too influenced by this, but I'm going to take my dark one. This is one reason why we have it, so that we can start seeing in those darker places. I don't think I don't want to go that dark, but I still want to see where it's lighter. So we see the shadow. This is a, you know, we don't see it, but there's a sweatband. I guess we see it over here. It's a sweatband on it. That's what they call it. I was trying to think of that last week, and it's a sweatband. And so sometimes you'll even see, you know, the perspiration stains as they come down into the brim of the hat. And some of that has the opportunity to create a darker value there too. Well, we can't see that so much in this one, but sometimes those are things that, again, I don't want to just look like a shadow. If I want that to be the character of the drawing, I want to be able to have the opportunity to show not only is it getting darker, but oh, look, there's an interesting sweat stain. Now, you might think that's kind of disgusting or whatever, but still it adds character to the certain, you know, to certain drawings. So it depends on the material and everything as to what you want to try and capture. So let's go ahead and accentuate some of these things. I think this this one's too light. I'm going to use that 2H just to see. Now I want to be careful and keep spacing for the texture of this. But later on, I will be able to go across it and add, you know, make the suggestion that there's shadow in an area. And we should be able to see our detail go right on through the light areas and the dark areas. And my interpretation may not be exactly like this, exactly like the source, but I want to see if I can take advantage of what I see that I think is really going to add something to my drawing. And I want the ability to do that. If I didn't have the ability to say, you know, to create the illusion enough, that your mind's going to say, oh, I understand that. I've seen that kind of material before, or I know exactly what that is. Then I'm going to just be putting a mass of lines up there, and it isn't going to really represent what I want. I want to have the character of this material. And as I said last week, you know, there's kind of like this, it's kind of similar to the spokes of the wheel. And I get over here and I suddenly start seeing that these are the ones that dominate. Just like going down that those orchard rows, if you've ever ridden past an orchard. If you haven't done that before, take a look at that and watch all the different ways the trunks of the trees through the orchard line up as you pass them. You'll just see it change constantly. Now I can't see the band up here, but I can imagine right in here it's a little darker, so I wouldn't want to end light. It's probably going to be something that's going to get a little darker here because it's going underneath the band. The band is on the top of it. It's wrapped around the outside perimeter of the hat, so this would naturally be going up to where there's less light. So I wouldn't want to come down here and kind of end my value here and not go all the way up to the finish line. And then we'll take our cross stroke that we're going to add some value in there, and we'll just make sure that everything gets darker as it goes towards that edge. I don't want to make too much out of the edge, though. I want to keep this somewhat of a suggestion because I don't have the rest of the hat. So I want to let something go away and let my mind finish it. But I still want to follow my rules of light. Not my rules, they're just rules, but the ones I keep mentioning. The rules of light, and what are they? Everything that goes to where there's less light will get darker. It will. Unless there's an odd reflective light in there, it will get darker. And if you follow that one principle, you're going to enhance your drawings tremendously. If you conflict with that very solid principle, you're going to start adding confusion. It's the same thing as having the proper perspective in one area of your drawing, and then suddenly you're showing a completely different perspective, and it just conflicts or contradicts completely with what you created in another area. And that happens in faces and whatever. Sometimes when you realize, oh, there's something wrong with this face, something terribly wrong, is often because of perspective. And that one contradiction you throw over on that far side of the face. Things get shorter and smaller the farther away they get. Things get taller and larger the closer they get. And because it's so subtle within a face, sometimes we just don't even think of it, because this is so much of a smaller object. I see lines going this way. I'm just going to try to create some of those. Now I do want a cross hatching here, and so I'm going to be careful to keep spaces between and make sure that I have them as uniform as I can. But that's pretty easy to do. We just basically use our tapered stroke and use the tracking exercise so that I can continually put another stroke on top of another until I have it at the right value. And I can fade it into the rest so that I don't have these weird patches starting to happen, these mosaic areas through the hat.